There was a time when you were weak. There was a time when your biggest weakness was him. He and him alone. But now that you had that memory, the memory of the final moments when all your love for him drained, the moment the realization struck you was when he placed a kunai to your throat. Naruto and your sensei Kakashi saved you right before the knife went across your throat. He'd knocked you a bit, but at least you weren't dead. You began to loathe and hate Sasuke. You vowed that day, over your fallen blood, that you would get revenge. Your vow hasn't changed since that day, but it has become difficult to keep that hatred inside when everyone around you welcomed Sasuke back into their lives. Sakura was the worst of them. He tried to kill her too, and she loved him too. He was one of her best friends, one of her teammates, and he tried to take her life. But she was now okay with him because he helped them win the war. You couldn't stand that he'd not paid for what he did. He deserved it. "What are you gonna do about Sasuke?" Tenten asked. "She was your best friend, and the only person who knew about your vow." You sighed and looked up from your drawing. "I don't know. I think I might die of exhaustion." She rubbed your shoulder and stood. "I wish you the best, but honestly, if you want my opinion, I honestly don't. But go on," she scoffed. "Okay, first of all, rude, and second, I think you should rethink your stubbornness." You turned your head at this. My stubbornness? Tenten left you with that thought because she had to meet up with Neji and Rock Lee for some kind of training. "Am I really stubborn?" You mumbled into the silent pond beside you. You hadn't expected an answer. You didn't even know if you wanted one, but it had came, and it certainly was not the pond who gave it. It depends on who you're asking. Even now, after 2 years of coming back to the village, his voice still scared you. Most people had fears that kept them up at night. Yours was him, his presence, his cold-toned voice. You glared. "What are you doing here?" Sasuke sighed. He knew this would not be easy, but he also knew you'd cared for him once. You had a heart made of white, an angel's heart, he'd said to Naruto. That's the only way to describe it. "Trying to talk to you." There was a time you trusted Sasuke with everything. You didn't know if he knew about your little crush, but if he did, he never showed it. You were more like Hinata when it came to things like this. Not as shy, but you got embarrassed easily. Tenten and your teammates would tease you about it, but that was a long time ago. "I'm leaving." You stood. When you turned around, you saw him, his figure looming over yours. He looked so good, even now. You hated yourself for thinking that about him. "Wait, please, You stopped, mid-passing, and met his gaze, your eyes coming down like a tsunami wave on his. "I can't believe you think you're entitled to anything that has to do with me." "Wayne, please." He almost screamed. The hurt in his voice was as evident as the pounding in your chest. "You don't get to walk back into my life and pretend like nothing happened." You did scream. "You don't get that choice," you said, nearly in tears. Then you walked away. Sasuke's lip trembled. He wanted to cry, to beg for your forgiveness. He would not. He knew he deserved this. Sakura had no trouble accepting him back, Naruto or Kakashi either, but they were his teammates. You were his best friend, a frenemy at times, but that was what made it so difficult. It would be useless to say he regretted it. He hurt you when he couldn't even look at himself in the mirror without getting sick. He appreciated everyone's forgiveness. He appreciated the prosperity and gratitude they gave him. but he wanted to make you proud more than anything. I messed up, he yelled at the pond. I know, He crumbled to his knees and clutched his heart. I love her. Why don't you tell her that then? Tenten popped out of nowhere, hand behind her back. Hi. Oh, hi. She gave Sasuke a pitying smile. Listen, don't beat yourself up, she sighed, picking up the nunchucks she left, the thing she'd come back for. I'm sure Ryan would say otherwise. She sighed. Yeah, but you did try to kill the girl. Sasuke's face bunched up. Sorry, probably best not to mention it. He nodded. I feel horrible about the whole situation. I know there's no excuse, but can't she spare me the time of day? He looked exasperated, like he could go on no longer. Stop feeling guilty. It's eating you up. Tenten thought the easier way to help Sasuke was to be straightforward, and so she said, Want my advice? Remind her of why she fell in love with you in the first place. Then apologize profusely and admit that you know she could do so much better than you, but you hope she'll forgive you anyway. Ryan loved me? Whoops, Tenten thought. He blinked out for a moment, looking past Tenten's calf, then looking up. Her attitude makes more sense now. I see why she hates me. Who said she hates you? Tenten turned around to walk away. Isn't it obvious? Then she looked back at Sasuke, the poor boy still on the floor, and smiled. Ryan hates that she doesn't hate you, even after you tried to kill her. How do you know this? He asked, finally standing up. A girl doesn't just fall in love with her best friend and forget about those feelings. She sucked in a breath of air and let it out as she said, Ryan may hold grudges, but I don't think she ever gave up on you. She talks like she does, looks like she does, but that's her way of reaching out to you. So next time, she pointed at him, don't let her walk away. He nodded, and Tenten walked away. Ryan, Sasuke called. You turned around with a scowl on your face. It was a mistake. He looked just as he did when you were kids, his features only more mature and defined. You missed him, but you would never admit that, especially to him. What do you want? You snarl. Please, just let me talk to you. He ran up to you. I know I messed up. I know what I did. He looked to the side, unable to look at you any longer, unable to face the scar on your neck. Well, you stamped your foot up and down. I'll ask again, what do you want? You now crossed your arms, getting anxious by the millisecond. Suddenly, he looked up, tears trickling down his face as he yelled, I want you back. Your eyes widened, and as your arms drooped to your side, so did your face. You whispered in a ghostly silence. You want. It's all I've been able to think about. I don't deserve it. I know you should turn me away right now like you've been doing, but I won't be able to live with myself much longer if I know I didn't do everything possible to get you back. A single tear rolled down your cheek, your mouth ajar. Unsure of what to respond with, Sasuke gasped, wiping his own tears. Ryan, You slapped him, as hard as you could, right on the cheek. You left a mark, but you knew it would heal within time, unlike the scar you bore across your neck. Sasuke stood stock still once again, both shocked and disappointed, but he knew he could be disappointed in no one but himself. That was, until you pulled him into the tightest hug imaginable. You jerk! You huffed, letting the rest of the tears fall. You shallow bastard, you barbarian! Your wails were loud enough now. You might have attracted attention had you been around the shops, but you were in the cemetery where the third Hokage's burial was, and the site had been emptied. I'm sorry. He pulled you in tighter. I promise. Never again. Never again, you repeated. From this day forward. From this day forward. You both did your best to fight off the cries escaping your mouth. I love you, you said, your voice colliding with one another as if you were in a singing choir. Hi everyone, I just got new books. I ordered them a few days ago. No, actually I ordered them yesterday, I got them today. Super happy about that. I'm still waiting on one though. Bye everyone. I hope you enjoyed. This was requested a while ago. I just haven't got around to writing it, but I finally finished it yesterday, I think. So yeah, I'm gonna go now. Bye loves.
He's never gonna make it. All the poor people he's forsaken. Karma is always gonna chase him.